Guys, welcome back to my channel. For today's video, so first of all, I want to say I'm sorry that it took me so long to get a video uploaded. I had some serious issues with the videos that I was trying to upload this week. Did the video. First of all, I recorded a video. The video did not record sound. I redid the video, or I redid another video because the video I wanted to do, I was doing a chop in prop in video, and I did it already and it didn't record right. So then I did another video. I edited a video, I uploaded the video to YouTube, and YouTube just would not process that video. So therefore, I am a type of person that I believe in intuition. I believe in, I'm a very spiritual person, and I believe in signs. And I just think that that video was just not the video that I was supposed to be posting for this week. So, I sat back and I just really was like, how can I connect with the audience that I want to connect with? And so I went on Facebook and I asked my Facebook friends to send me photos of plants that they're struggling with, so I can kind of assess what's going on and help them fix their plants. And that's what we're doing today. We're going to be going over those photos. It wasn't that many, but it was enough. Trust me, it was enough. And I really, really, really want to do my best to help anyone who's struggling with their plants. I haven't been in the plant hobby that long, but I do know by looking at other people's photos. I'm in groups and I see their struggles. I see their plants. And I think that I'm having pretty good success with mine as of right now. Not the entire collection, but for the most majority of my plants are doing extremely well. So obviously I'm doing something right. So I want to share what I know with you guys for anyone who's struggling with their plants. So with that being said, let's just get right into it. So the first photo that I want to look at is, all right, so when I first, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh, but when I first saw this photo, I had no clue what this plant was. I mean, I kind of did, but I was in disbelief of what this plant is. And so it is a Monstera deliciosa. And I happen to be very knowledgeable, I think, with taking care of Monstera deliciosa. And so when I see this photo, my first thoughts are that this plant it doesn't look as mature as it should be. The leaves are all over the place. It looks like the stem of the plant is buried beneath the soil, very flimsy. It looks like it's been stretching for light. With the tall, thin petioles, which I guess that's what they do look like, but the leaves are very droopy, right? The leaves are very, very droopy. It is giving off new growth and is tied to a stake. Okay, so my first initial thoughts on this particular photo is I don't think it's getting the light that it needs. I don't think that it is getting enough efficient light. Number two, I think that it's not getting fed because it doesn't look like it's robust, if that makes any sense. If I were to come into possession of this plant, like if someone dropped it off to me and asked me to fix this plant for them, my initial thought would be to unpot it. I would unpot this plant. I would get rid of all the leaves. I would unpot it. I would look for at least one good leaf, one sturdy stem with a leaf on it, and I would chop off the rest of it. I would probably put the rest of it into water and let them root again. But I would cut this down to the stump. I would literally cut this down to the stump with one leaf, and then I would put this into water and let it develop water roots. I would let it develop some water roots, and then I would throw this into leca. That was just what I would do, and it's what I have done in the past. So I have 2 pots of deliciosas right here with me, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the journey that I've had with these 2 plants and what I do for my deliciosas, that could help with this person. But ideally, I would start this plant over. If you don't want to start this plant over, I recommend just going out to Lowe's and buying a new one. Honestly, buying a new plant. But if you're attached to this particular plant and if you're attached to this particular plant and you really want to keep it and see it thrive, then I would definitely say chop it up. Chop it up and start over with a new regimen is what I'm going to tell you. So this right here is my Monstera deliciosas. And let me back up a little bit. And I've had this plant since August of last year. And when I got it, it was not this big at all. I did experience root rot with this plant, and I ended up separating this plant into 3 pieces. So the first piece I left in soil. I put that back in my plant room. The second piece was a baby, and I threw that baby into water with nutrient solutions and let her roots get water roots. And then I put her into a pot of leca and let her go through that process. And I did that for 2 reasons. Well, I actually only did that for 1 reason. The reason why I did that was I thought it was a great opportunity to practice with leca, also to get that practice in because I wanted to transfer my Thai constellation into leca from soil. So I wanted to see how that whole process worked. I wanted to see if I could build confidence in that process so that I can do that with my more expensive deliciosas form, variegated form. So that's why I did that. But then I ended up wanting to switch my bigger one over to leca as well, which is what I did. And I combined, when I was doing that process, with the second Monstera deliciosas, I put that straight from soil into leca, and I added the baby with that one. And since then, what I've noticed, and she's currently in this pot in leca, that this plant has thoroughly been thriving. So some things that I noticed about the deliciosas, this plant right here. The thing that I noticed about this plant is, 1, it loves leca. It really, 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 really loves and thrives in leca. It needs light. It needs good lighting. That's another thing about this plant. Like I said, in the photo, I don't think it's getting efficient amount of light because of the way that the leaves are kind of, it looks like they're just really sparse and dangly. I don't think it's being fed enough. I know that manufacturers, like if you go to Home Depot and you buy the Miracle Grow, it'll say feed, once or twice a year, or, squirt one thing in there. I quickly threw that out when I was starting in this hobby. I didn't understand what was going on. I think I gave my plants lots of fertilizer burn and all that. So I started looking to feeding my plants and how often I should feed them. So with this Monstera deliciosas, I do feed her weekly, and especially since she's in leca. But even when she wasn't in leca, I was still feeding her weekly. When she's in soil, you definitely want to check the soil moisture level. You don't want to overwater her or she will get root rot. You don't want to underwater her. What I recommend doing, if you're not really familiar with how your plants need to be watered, how much water to give them, I do recommend going on Amazon and getting a water meter, or you can go to Lowe's and Home Depot and grab a moisture meter like this one. I don't really I don't use this hardly anymore. I kind of can tell when my plants need to be watered and when they don't need to be watered. But this is a great tool to get you there. This is a great tool to start off with. You don't want to saturate the plant so much that it stays moist and your leaves start yellowing. You're going to get, root rot if you're not paying attention to that part. So I just rather ditch the soil altogether and move my plants into LECA. Not all of them, but my Monstera deliciosas. All of my Monsteras are in LECA currently. So, well, except for my Monstera mint, and I'm waiting for that to get to a 4-inch pot, and then I will transfer that over to LECA. But this is pretty much what your Monstera deliciosa should look like. I don't have it on a moss pole. I do have this stake in here. The only reason why I put this stake in here, and I'll turn it around to the back side. The only reason why I put this in here is because when I did have her in this pot, I wanted to stabilize her until her roots settled in. So this is the only thing that I have in here, which I don't really necessarily need in here. It's not like she's going to fall over or anything. I don't have them on our moss pole. I'm not sure that if when she gets bigger that I'm going to have to find something for her to lean up on. But what I try to do is guide her. I try to guide her aerial roots that are coming out back into the pot, and that kind of stabilizes her, keeps her from wobbling over. Once you get those aerial roots, I just guide them right on back down into the LECA, so they'll grow back down in there, and that's kind of like a pole in itself. It's going to hold her up. So I don't want her aerial roots to be growing outside of the pot. So once they get long enough, I will guide them back into the pot. But your leaves should be healthy. They should always be growing. They should always be getting bigger than the last one. They should always be upsizing. If they're not if your leaves, your new leaves that come out are not upsizing, then there could be a problem, and you might want to assess that. Maybe you're not feeding it enough. Maybe it's not getting enough light. There is an app that you can download, and it's called Lux. So what you want to do for the lighting situation, you can go to Google Play, or I'm not sure about Apple. I don't have Apple, but you can definitely go on there, and there is an app called Lux, and it is a light meter app. And wherever you have your plant set, under whatever light that you have them under, I do recommend, if you don't have your plants in natural light, which this one was sitting in my plant room in the window, and I have east facing windows, and I also had a grow light hanging over the top of her. So she was getting 16 hours of grow light and whatever light was coming through the window. But what you want to do is take your phone after you download this app and place it on top of the leaf, and that will tell you how much light your plant is getting. So currently sitting right here, it's receiving 65 foot candles. Oh, sorry. You want to switch that over to foot candles. So it would be that right there, foot candles. And you put it on the leaf. Currently sitting in the middle of my living room, it's hitting at about a 6.4, which is extremely dark. It's almost like putting your plant in a dark room with zero light. You don't want it to be under 75. If it's 75, that is extremely low light, right? You want it to be above 100, at the minimum above 100. If it's hitting the thousands, that's great. That's great. Good. That is good light. If it's like maybe 600, 700, 800, hitting the thousands, a lot of my plants are sitting between 1,500 and 2,000 foot candles is what I'm giving my plants. And it's very important because a lot of plant parents don't know that. They think that by putting like a little cheap Amazon light over them that it's getting enough light. And it may not be. You might want to try this app and test it out, because that's what I thought when I first started. And like I said, when I first started, I wanted to decorate my home with plants. So I was having my plants all over my house in areas that had zero light for my plants. Yes, they had light bulbs for us, but not enough light for my plants, like the bathroom. I didn't have enough light in the bathroom for my plants. In my corners, you know, my little nooks and crannies on my wall. This wall right here gets zero sunlight. I mean, very, very little sunlight. And, you know, to put plants on this wall, I would be doing them a disservice unless I provided them with supplemental lighting. So I do have 2 lamps back here on my wall, and I did put grow lights in them. And I currently have this plant sitting over here in this corner. I moved her from my window. I do have a grow light that sits above her. The only reason why I moved her out of the window, for one, she's getting too big. Two, she has a very established root system right now. Her root system is established. Her growth is already established. Don't care to grow this massive fast anymore. She's grown enough for me at this point in time that lower light is going to produce slower growth, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that for her right now, sitting in that spot. But I think she will do fine because she also gets ambient light from my grow cabinet as well. And those lights hit her in the front. So she's okay there. I also have the other part of the deliciosas that I started. And this is where I say, take your plant and cut it back to the stump, because this stump or this plant that I have in this particular pot had mature leaves. It had 2 mature leaves on it. The leaves were drooping. There was just nothing I could do. I ended up putting it into water with the droopy leaves. I had the droopy leaves still attached to it. I left it on the stump. I put it into a pot of water and I let that stump develop water roots. And then right before I put it into leca, I just chopped the leaves off. I chopped those 2 mature leaves off, threw them away, and this is what the plant has given me since then. The first leaf that come out will be wonky. It's going to be weird. That's totally expected. My baby plant did the same thing, but her first leaf that came out was fenestrated. It was because of all of the stored energy that was left in that stump, produced a fenestrated tiny baby leaf. If I can find it, yeah. Yeah, so this was her first. Was this her first one? Let me see. Where is the baby? It's hard. I put the baby in here, but okay, this is the baby. Let me find the baby's leaf. Oh, here it is. Yeah, so my baby put out this fenestrated leaf. This was her first leaf that she put out, and it was fenestrated. And that just comes from the stored up energy that was left in that stump. This one put out this wonky leaf, and then it put out this wonky leaf, which is to be expected. But then her next 2 leaves were regular leaves, and then she's putting out another one right now. But I did plant her stump halfway into the leca and halfway on top. I did not bury the stump all the way down in the leca. I left it out, and she has developed some pretty decent roots in here. They're already at the bottom. I will probably repot her when I see more roots. I'm not interested in repotting her currently. I don't know if I'm going to put her into this pot with this one, or I'll just probably end up giving this one away soon. I just wanted to go through the process, and I didn't want to throw out the entire stump and just go ahead and let her go ahead and grow. So yeah, that's what I recommend doing. And there's plenty of LECA videos on YouTube if you want to, look into it. The LECA Queen, she has a channel, and she has tons of information on how to switch your plants from soil to LECA. I will do that soon as well. I just don't have the supplies to do that currently, but I will also be posting the video again on how to switch your plants from soil to LECA. I did do the soil to LECA video for this plant, but I'm very new to editing, and I think the editing was horrible. But if you want to watch that video, it is on my Facebook business page, Swing Into Plants, and you can see the process that I used from switching my Monstera deliciosas from soil to LECA. I also want to note that when you're feeding your plant, it's great to give them good nutrients. So like I said, I feed my plants soil and LECA every week with a diluted solution of nutrients. But when I'm repotting, I like to use microbes, and this is one brand that I use. I also use Dynamical. I get them both from Amazon. This one is more of a powdery, where the other one is like little beads. But this one you can add into your water, and I use filtered water. I don't use tap water. I use filtered water. I just get this Brita filter, and I use filtered water for my plants. This can be added into the water, and you can water all your plants with it. Or when you're repotting, you can put this in the middle of the soil and let the roots touch it. And then what that does, it just kind of like, it's a fungi that attaches to the roots and almost like little hairs, and it helps your plant suck up nutrients, so they can get more nutrients into their system. And I also use a slow release fertilizer as well. I just sprinkle that in there. So now I'm feeding them. I give them slow release. I inoculate their roots, and then I also use silica gold in every single watering. I use silica gold. I use TPS1 to make it very, very simple, and rapid start, which is just as about the same as the microbes. This also helps root. I call it root crack. It just helps your roots develop. So if you're looking for something that's super, super simple, how to feed your plants every week, I recommend getting Silica Gold and TPS1 off of Amazon, or you can go straight to TPS website and get these two nutrients. Now, this is the fertilizer, and it has everything you need in it. It has everything that your houseplants needs in it. This one bottle, that's why it's called TPS1. It has everything that you need. Now, you can add, I also sometimes occasionally add CalMag and all that other stuff to it, but those are just added. They're already in here. Everything. I'm starting to learn more and more about nutrients. So, and like I said in my nutrient video that I had, that it's a growing thing. You keep learning, and then you do better, you do better. So TPS1, like I said, has everything a plant needs in it except silica. So that's why I use silica and this TPS1 together. And I put silica in first, let that dissolve, and then I add the TPS1, and then I test my pH balance, because I want the pH balance to be somewhere between 5.8 and 6.2. And then I use Rapid Start in the solution as well. And I water my plants, all of my plants, with the same nutrients every single week, whether they're in soil or LECA, period. That's how I water them. Okay, so that is that one. I hope that helps her out. If not, I'm sorry, but that's what I would do. I would either start the plant over or go buy another one. I lost my phone that fast. Where is it? Well, that's crazy. Where is my phone? Oh, here it is. All right, moving on to the next photo. Okay, so the next one I want to talk about is this one, which is a Calathea. And I too also have a struggling Calathea, but that's because I just neglected it. I know what it needs. I just haven't had the time or the patience to go and take care of it. But it looks very similar to this one. So when it comes to Calatheas, the consensus on Calatheas are that they are one of the hardest houseplants ever because they need a lot of things. They need humidity. They do need high humidity. Whether it's combining them close to other plants. I do have one successful Calathea in my collection. Is this one, the rattlesnake, and I've had her for a while. I also had other Calatheas along with this one, and they did not survive. Except I have the ugly one that's in my plant room, of course, that looks similar to this one. But for the Calatheas, when it comes to humidity, this one sits very close to other plants. It sits very, very close to other plants. Also, I have her in a self-watering pot. That's what I would recommend. I definitely would recommend repotting. I recommend repotting and maybe getting this plant into self-watering. I'm also looking at the soil. So I killed a couple of my Calatheas when I repotted my Calatheas. And the reason why I did so is because nobody told me that Calatheas use a special kind of potting soil, right? So the ones that I put in my regular potting soil, my aeroid mix that I use for all my other plants, they died. They crisped up. They look like this. They crisped up and they died. And it looks like the potting soil might be the problem here, along with humidity. I recommend for Calatheas is this right here. And you can get this at Lowe's. This is here in Indianapolis. This is the Lowe's, maybe Menards. I have not really found this at Home Depot. I couldn't find this at Home Depot, so I get mine from Menards. But it is orchid potting mix, and it's the coarse blend, and it is made for Calatheas. Calatheas. So the only Calathea, I had 3 Calatheas and I repotted all of them except for this one. And when I repotted the other ones, like I said, they immediately died. They immediately crisped up. They immediately died. They did not hang on. And then when I was researching it, I found that they do need special potting mix. So this is the potting mix that I use, and this is the result. It's still alive. It's not crisping up. She's perfectly fine. She does need to be repotted. Her roots are coming out of the bottom. But for the humidity factor, I recommend keeping her roots humid. So that is another misconception that I think is not being really explained. People in the plant hobby say that your plant needs high humidity. I'm not necessarily sure that that means that the leaves need humidity. I am kind of convinced that the roots is what needs humidity, right? So I don't have a humidifier sitting near this plant. I do have this plant grouped with other plants though. So that helps in the humidity of the leaves and keeps the moisture from escaping the leaves because she is grouped with other plants. But also I think that having her in the self-watering pot also helps with the humidity because she's still here, she's still alive, she's still robust, she's growing, and that's what I recommend. I recommend taking this out of the pot, going to get some new potting soil mix, repot that plant in this potting soil mix, and maybe getting it into a self-watering container and see how that helps. As new leaves grow, I would prune this back, kind of get rid of the ugly leaves or cut the crisping off of the leaves and to make your plant look prettier. I am going to be doing, I will repot that other plant, but I'm going to do it like over time. I'm going to record over time and see the results of that one. And I'll post that one too. But that is what I recommend for this plant, is getting it into a self-watering pot. And these pots right here came off of Amazon. They're super cheap. They're 6 inches, 6-inch pots, which I think will be completely fine for this particular plant. And I think it comes with 6 in the container, and it's less than $30. So that's what I recommend for this particular plant. Also, for the other Calathea, because there was 2 Calatheas that were sent, I recommend doing the same for this one too. I almost did not know. Well, I didn't know what this plant was when I saw it. Same thing in this photo. It needs efficient light. The potting soil, I recommend repotting and putting it into the orchid potting mix. And I also recommend feeding your plants. Feed your plants, give them good light, give them the right potting soil mix, and that should help them. I'm not sure if this plant will survive or not. Again, sometimes it's just best to start over with a new plant. I've started over with new plants plenty of times. If at first you don't exceed, you must try again. However that saying goes. But in the plant hobby, if it doesn't work out the first time, girl, go buy you another plant and try again. That's what I do. So that is my recommendations. Also, pH meters, you can get these on Amazon as well. I do test my water. Like I said, I need it to be between 5.8 and 6.2. I also recommend, if you're using rainwater, to test the rainwater as well and see where the pH balance is on your rainwater. You might be surprised about that, but you don't want too high of pH, and you don't want too low of pH. So I recommend getting a meter for that. And also, I do have the winner for the Friday corn. I have the names in this cup, and I'm going to go ahead and draw that name, and then I will reach out to you, or you can reach out to me, and I will get it shipped to you. So the winner is Caitlin. Wow, Caitlin. All right, Caitlin. So I know how to get in touch with you. Um, this corn will be going to you, and I will get that to you soon. So thank you guys for watching. If you made it to the end of this video, I really hope this video helps. If you want to send me pictures and photos of your struggling houseplants, you can email them to me. I will be glad to do a video on them and continue this as maybe a monthly thing. I don't mind doing that. It also gives me an opportunity to talk about the plants that I do have that I don't necessarily talk about a lot, because I definitely don't talk about my Calatheas or my Monstera that much. So I really appreciate you guys, and leave me some comments below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to hit subscribe. I really am trying to get to 500 subscribers, and that would help. It's free. It is free to subscribe, and it's free to hit the like button. It just helps me out to continue to, get better at videos and bring you content that you might want to watch. So until then, bye.